So this week I was gonna make some other videos, but they all are not finished. So I'm making this, and Maker's Muse already posted this, and I really am interested in this. This is hashtag 3D printing on YouTube. This is about 8-year-old hashtag that was used for 3D printing back when it wasn't very popular. I'm going to be giving you my answers to the 5 questions Maker's Muse asked. This is something you totally can do. I will link Maker's Muse video down below so you can do something similar. The first question is, where did I encounter 3D printing first? The time I encountered 3D printing the first time was on YouTube. I'm not sure if it was Maker's Muse, 3D Printing Nerd, or who said it, but I know it was on YouTube. That is where I got mine. I'm not sure what printer though. After that, it took me a while to buy a 3D printer, because I always thought they were expensive. I thought I saw like $2,000 ones, and I'm like, I'm not paying $2,000 for a 3D printer. After that, I bought my first printer, that one, the KP3. The KP3 right here is not a very normal machine,
at least for modern day standards,
as it is not anything like it. It's 180 by 180 by 180. This printer is $180. They no longer sell this printer though, which makes me sad, but it's an awesome printer. 3D printing on this thing is such a joy. I love how it is like an Ender 3 and it's not like pre-tuned. Though I still use the KP3S as a workhorse machine. All my printers are workhorse machines, of course I do. Alright, so what was the first thing I've ever 3D printed? Now, of course, it was on the KP3S, and it was this guy right here. This is a pre-sliced model on it, using some crappy filament that I bought for $13.
back in the day, $13 filament was absolute dog crap.
Back then, I was not really into 3D printing as much, and this was really bad PLA, but I still have the print. This is an awesome print. Though this print isn't, like, perfect, it's still really good for on this machine, which is now 3 years old. Alright, so next question is, do I use 3D printing as a hobby or as a tool? Now, I use it as both, which is kind of weird. 3D printing to me is both a hobby and a tool. Now, that might make absolutely zero sense to you, and I agree with you there. The thing about 3D printing to me is I like money. I really like money, but I also am wise with that money. All these printers end up printing stuff for me to sell, but I also print stuff for myself, and I also tune my printers. Like here, on the Ender 3 V3 SE, where I added a filament runout sensor just a few days ago. Or the SVO XY1, I think, that I'm building, which out of one of these printers. Like, I love modding too, but it's a certain balance between the two. Like this printer right here. This printer doesn't like working most of the time, which really annoys me, because this printer was like $500. There was no reason for it to be this much. But since I sell my stuff, I don't always have time to print out fun stuff. But I make money from it, which is important. So I could buy stuff like the A1 Mini right here. So to answer your question, I do both. But it also allows me to get cool colors and stuff like this and meet cool people. So it's both, tool and hobby. Now this one is weird and difficult for me to do. Why is this weird and difficult? The question is, what is the best 3D printer? Which is a big issue for me, because I don't know. Now of my machines, I have printers I don't really like. And all of the ones I'm going to be listing are ones that have worked for a long time for me. This printer, I don't really like this printer. It's fun. It's really good for tuners, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't like to print. I have gotten really cool prints out of it, though.
Like this. This is a print for a customer.
Big Mac, my 4 Max, which I am not complaining about how much I got it for, but it is a bit weird. It doesn't like leveling. Now, Big Mac, I'll make an exception for, especially because of what I paid for it, but it also is massive. 1 kilo of filament for scale. The Ender 3 V3 SE, not a bad machine. Auto leveling and stuff, it works most of the time, so I don't mind it. I have had issues with running out of filament, hence the filament runout sensor. The A1 Mini, good machine, solid, multicolored, reason I got it. And the KP3S, also a good machine, but which one's the best? Now I'm gonna lower it down to 2 printers. It depends on what you like. If you want a tinkerable printer, I really like this one. I don't know why, I just like it. If you want one that just works and is multicolor, this one. Multicolor is more, but you know, I've got multicolor because I can. And last one, what is my tip for beginners? Now this one's difficult. What is a good tip for a beginner? I think my good tip, don't buy cheap filament. Now what do I mean by cheap filament? Because I buy cheap filament. So what I mean by cheap filament is filament under $16 or something like that. This is like $15, I think, maybe. But this one's good. Don't buy cheap ones. Like, I bought really cheap. I think it was like 3D Genius or something. It was like 13 bucks a roll. That stuff was trash. But I also wouldn't say go all in. Like, I spent $30-ish on Hatchbox filament. I did not like it. Hatchbox 3D prints the same as 3D Genius, except it's double the price. So really, I would say go for something mid-range and check with people what they think of it. Also, once you find a good brand, if you're printing a lot like me, you can buy them in bulk. So like 10 rolls at a time or something, maybe 5. But if you get a custom order where they want a custom color, you can always get a different brand. Like I recently started buying some eSun because people wanted custom colors and they got different colors. Or here's some 3D Max I wanted to give away. Also, don't cheap out on your parts. I cheaped out my parts before. See, your cheaper parts typically break. This is my bin of dead hot ends. Yeah, there's a lot. Now, why do I have so many dead hot ends like this one? Well, that's a great question. It's because I cheap out and pay like 10 bucks for... That is not a good idea. I would say spend a little bit more and get an actually high quality hot end. Hot ends are one of your most important parts, and if they don't work good, your prints are going to look like absolute shit. There are my tips. Make sure you check out some more of the hashtag 3D printing on YouTube, and I'm going to subscribe if you want to. If you get, info from these videos, I guess. I don't care. Do it. I don't know. Whatever.